good afternoon. Today I'm here to talk about a new way of doing breast cancer screening to detect early stage breast cancer in a completely privacy aware manner. It's very important because we want all the ladies in the world to do breast cancer screening regularly and save themselves from that horrendous disease. Yes, breast cancer is the leading cause of cancer deaths today. 500,000 women die every year because of this disease. The unfortunate thing is they don't need to die. They don't need to die because breast cancer is the only and a very few of the cancers which can be cured completely if detected early. That's the catch, if detected early. Today in India, people wait till there is a huge lump that cannot be hidden anymore from their family or doctors. Only then they go to a hospital and it's already stage 4 or 5. And so the survival rates in India are just about or little over 50%. That is, every alternate lady detected with breast cancer ends up losing a life. That happens to be 75,000 ladies every year dying in India because of breast cancer. We as a team wanted to change this scene. Said, can we look at the real hurdles for breast cancer to be detected early? And some of the reasons and hurdles are listed on the slide here. First and foremost happens to be the technology limitation today. The way cancer is detected today is using tissue density differences between a lump and the rest of the tissue. So they pass kind of an X-ray to figure out whether some tissues are harder than the rest. It so happens for women under 45 to 50 years, the breast itself is dense. So the small lumps just go unnoticed. So there is no solution today for detecting early stage breast cancer in women under 45 years of age. And the cancer deaths are happening in younger women as well because of the lifestyle, family planning, and eating style, and all of these issues. And most cancer detecting tools, as I said, look for lumps. But not all lumps are malignant. In fact, 50% of the lumps that are detected are not at all cancerous. They're just a bunch of tissues sticking together. So the lady feels she has cancer, she gets psychologically worried and so on, all for nothing. She can be safe. So we have to detect cancer and not lumps. And most importantly, and I briefly mentioned, the tests today, such as mammography, use X-ray to detect. And we know radiation can be cause of cancer. So you cannot repeat the test more often than once in 2 years. So you get to lose cancers which are coming in between the two tests, and it's a big loss. So when you look at countries like India, in addition to all of these hurdles, affordability, accessibility plays a major role. It's 3,500 rupees for a test. Who would do it if you're all well, right? Why would I do it every year? Why do I spend so much of money every year when I'm all well? So affordability plays a major role. And these tests, such as mammography machines, are available only in tier 1 and tier 2 cities. What happens to the huge 60% of the population which is outside this? Because of all this, not just in India, all over the world, only 10% of the ladies who need to be screened for cancer are getting screened. That is, instead of 2 billion women who need to be screened, 200 million are getting screened every year. And about 60 to 70% of this population is in the US. 70% of the new cases are coming in from the developing world. We wanted to change the situation. We said, can we really come up with a test which will work for women of all age groups, which will not have radiation, which will be affordable, which will be accessible, and also low cost, highly accurate. right? Then we actually found a methodology called thermography, which has an ability to sense very, very early signs of cancer. When a cancer tissue is growing, it grows at an abnormal rate. There is higher metabolism, there is higher blood flow, there are more cells that are growing, so the heat and the temperature at that particular area is slightly higher than the rest of the tissue. We know all of us are at 37 degrees centigrade, 98.7 Fahrenheit, and this particular thing can be slightly higher. We said, okay, can we look at this? And yes, there are many doctors over the last 10 to 15 years who have been using this methodology to try and detect early stage cancer. They use a device called a thermal camera or a thermal sensor to measure the temperature of the chest, actually measure the temperature distribution on the chest to get an image like the one you see on the screen. The color there signifies the temperature at that point, on that bunch of tissues. A white color is the highest temperature, black is the lowest. This is called a heat map of the chest. And it's nice, so anything that is red is something to be looked at. Yeah, every cancer will be red, but not all reds are cancerous. That is where the catch is. The doctors have been using this to try to detect cancer, but they end up calling out many other non-cancer as cancerous. So that is why, though it is an FDA approved adjunct modality, it is not yet used in every hospital today. It is not yet a standard of care. It's very useful, it works on women of all age groups, it is highly sensitive, it is safe, right? There is no X-ray, you're just measuring the temperature on the chest. Still, it is not used because it's extremely complex to analyze and interpret the image that you're seeing on the screen. There are 400,000 temperature values shown as color, and the color can be any shade from black to white, which is 32,000 color shades. Think about a doctor with the human eye looking at this and interpreting, right? That is exactly the place where a computer can do a great job. And that was the motivation for us to create this new technology called thermalytics. It is a combination of computer algorithms, actually machine intelligence, with high resolution thermal images to enable a very simple way of screening for early stage breast cancer. We use a very, very simple thermal sensor, which can be from any vendor. It's as small as this. This is a thermal camera which is placed 3 feet from the lady, just like a photo shoot. She just sits there, turns around, and she goes away, and her report will be ready. That is being done because our software actually can analyze these images to determine where is an abnormality and whether that abnormality is cancerous or not. It actually detects abnormal activity much, much earlier than even a lump is formed. So it's very, very early stage and highly sensitive, just like a breast MRI. Nobody does a breast MRI for screening, right? You do it at a late stage. But that level of sensitivity is what this technology has. And it is portable. I brought it in the flight in my cabin baggage, and it's safe. You're just measuring the temperature on the chest. You can do it every day, every hour with no side effect at all. And then it's completely automated, so you can actually take it to rural areas and use it in places where the doctors are not highly available, right? And it's very common in India to have one doctor serving 1,000 families, right? So you can use this as a triaging methodology. And all this, we are not looking for lumps, we are looking for direct cancer. So the number of false positives are also much, much lower. So is it a very simple software? Why hasn't somebody else written it so far, right? So the challenge is like this. There is one image you see of a lady on the left side of the screen. She is a normal lady. You'll see another one which is malignant lady, that is a cancerous lady. And what you see very easily is that there is an asymmetry between the left and the right side. There is more redness on one and the other one is not red. And it looks simple, yeah? So you can just look at it with your bare eyes, or a computer can do an analysis of the two sides and then give that report. But the tricky thing is that when you have these two types of images, which is almost 60% of the ladies will have images like this, where there is redness, both sides or single side, but they are harmless. It could be a cyst, it could be just a hormonal response, it could be a particular time in the month, and so on and so forth. How do we differentiate only one of these as cancerous and the rest as not? That is where the new algorithms that are coming up in the area of machine learning and artificial intelligence comes to save us. We use the temperature variations, asymmetry, the shape of the hotspot, the boundary type of the hotspot, the type of blood vessels that are feeding into this hotspot. All of this information, we feed this into a probability model. We learn this probability model using historic information. We take 100 ladies who have already been diagnosed by other methods and take their thermal images, extract these new features, as we call it, and train this model to learn what the standard of modality, standard of care is trying to tell them, what the doctors are already diagnosed. We learn that method of decision making in the form of a probability model. And that, when used, and the new patient, new subject who is coming in, on her thermal images, it's able to very nicely say yes or no. Does she require a follow-up or not? So in the end, what we have is a computer-aided diagnostics which is powered by artificial intelligence and machine learning. In comes the thermal images, out comes a complete 3-page diagnostic report, which now a doctor can very easily interpret because it is stocking things that they are able to understand and correlate with the other type of modalities if needed, and so on and so forth. This end-to-end automation is possible because of the new technology that our team has been developing. That is the doctor's view. The end user view is that she is just sitting in front of a simple device. In fact, this device is not controlled by the camera such as the one which is in front of me. It is remotely controlled. So she just gets into a booth, nobody sees her, nobody touches her, and then she's out and everything is completely privacy aware. Ladies love it. We actually take this to places like this where there are many more ladies and then conduct this as a camp, 15 minutes per person. Instead of going for a coffee, come here, you have a report. So we believe this kind of a privacy aware early stage detection technology can actually reach every lady on earth. And this is so portable that it can also be taken to the place where they are if they are unwilling to come to the hospital. And by all of these, we are able to address most of the hurdles that we identified for early stage screening. So it's not in theory. We actually have this working in 3 hospitals in Bangalore and also one in Dehradun. It's a very simple device like this. These 2 girls are trained in this particular methodology. They're just nursing staff. And of course, the report that's generated can also be sent to a doctor over email for a remote second opinion. We've also been able to do mass outreach programs instead of huge mammography vans like this, which, believe me, doesn't even fit on the roads of many of the villages that we have. It can't go. There are so many trees. The height is also so huge. And there's a big generator on it. You don't need any of this. We just take a small cooler so that you can precondition the lady before the test and then conduct the mass screenings. So far, we have done over 2,000 screenings we've been able to get very good results as well as good acceptance from the ladies. Cancer care doesn't end at the level of preventive screening. If unfortunately if a lady is found to be malignant or suspicious or high risk, she actually has to go through a diagnosis with other tests and finally a tissue test, right? You actually have to take out a piece of the tissue and put it in the microscope, what is called as pathological analysis, the final ground truth. And so there are several ways in which the same test can be used. It can be used inside a hospital along with the other tests to see whether the lady is really malignant or not. If unfortunately she is found to be malignant, she just goes through a very small surgery, or if she is lucky, it can just be a hormonal tablets. She gets well just with that. But then of course she has to come back every year for a quick test, because possibility of recurrence will be there. You just need to make sure that you catch it. And for all of these places, the same what we call as thermalytics, which is a marriage of thermal analysis or thermography and machine learning, that's the icon you see, is going to be useful. And not just that, this particular thing currently is being used for breast cancer screening. It can actually work for many other type of cancers and become really a universal cancer screening solution to save not only women but also males from breast cancer. Thanks a lot, and